Hello YouTube! In today's video, I'm going to discuss how I like to make rice koji. Koji is the common name for the fungus Aspergillus oryzae, and it's used in the fermentation of many popular products such as miso, Japanese soy sauce, and sake. Fermenting something with koji is a little more complicated than many average fermentation projects, but it is achievable at home. The first step in any koji fermentation is culturing the koji fungus on some kind of grain. In my case, I went with glutinous rice for my miso. I have seen people use other things like brown rice, sushi rice, and even jasmine rice, but personally I would stick with glutinous rice for your first attempt. Before you get to culturing, you need to soak your rice overnight and then rinse off any excess starch. It's important that your rice isn't too sticky. Once it's soaked and rinsed, you want to steam your rice until it's cooked but slightly undercooked for most cooking applications. Again, you want the starches available for the fungus, but if your rice is too cooked, it'll stick together and prevent the fungus filaments from growing. I had 3 steamer baskets going simultaneously, and I checked on them and rotated them every 10 minutes. Once your rice is cooked, you need to let it cool so it's not too hot that it kills the fungus. I would recommend cooling it on a tray with a damp towel over top. I did not use a damp towel and my rice ended up a little dry. Once your rice is cooled, you're going to add your koji spores that you can purchase online. I did this by adding small spoonfuls of the spores over top of the rice and stirring it. Again, it's important that your rice doesn't stick together, so I actively broke up any large clumps of rice. As I mentioned earlier, my rice ended up a little dry, so I added just a small amount of water to the rice as I was mixing in the spores. I used my Joule immersion circulator to keep a water bath at 32 Celsius. This is within the ideal temperature range for the koji fungus. The only other difficult thing about the koji is that it needs oxygen, so I wouldn't recommend sealing the bags. So to create an ideal environment, I left the Ziploc bags open, but taped their edges to the sides of my sous vide container. This allowed air to get in, but prevented the bags from falling directly into the water. I then wrapped the whole setup tightly in aluminum foil to create a high humidity environment that is also beneficial for the rice koji. This is a 2-day minimum project, but it's relatively passive thanks to the temperature control of an immersion circulator. The only thing I would recommend is that after 1 day, I took out all the rice and gave it a good stir, again to break up clumps of rice and give the fungus room to grow. After about 24 hours, I already saw fungal growth, which was an excellent sign. After the mixing, you want to put your rice back into the circulator just as before and leave it another 24 hours. Unlike many other fermentations, you actually end up killing the fungus in many Koji applications. The main mechanism of action is any enzymes that the Koji fungus already produced. So I would recommend giving it a full 2 days so that you have an ideal amount of enzyme in your rice. Since this is already a lot of information, I'm going to end the video here, but please consider subscribing and sharing because my next video will be using the Koji rice to make miso. Thank you for watching.